Years of marriage led to this. Hello, my wife and I have been married for 3 years this June. We have known each other for about 5 years. I am 38, she is 39. We both travel for our jobs. I am a pilot, she is a consultant. Last November-December, she told me she has been seeing a therapist. It caught me off guard, and initially I was upset that she hid that from me. During most of last year, our physical relationship wasn't really strong. Our bonding life wasn't really strong, and I know I am partially to blame for that. She would mention that when she walked around naked that I wouldn't notice her. I don't know if this was because I was too comfortable in the marriage, or stress with work, or what. In January she suggested we go to couples consoling. I wasn't a fan but agreed. We went maybe 4 times. I was open in all sessions, took the advice of the counselor, and from January till this past weekend, things have been really good for us. More intimate, better bond, feeling closer to each other. Fast forward to this past Saturday. I stumbled upon emails showing she had been having an affair with a married guy at her work. The affair was about 10 months last year, ending in November. She was out in car for work when I confronted her about it. I asked her who Van was. She said a coworker. Then I asked if she had a relationship with him. Exchanged dirty emails. Had a dirty affair with him. She said no. I told her I saw the emails and hung up. She called back, sobbing, apologizing and saying it was true. I told her I didn't want to talk to her and hung up. Shortly after that, her password to Gmail was changed. We have always been open with our passwords and not hiding anything. She bought a plane ticket on Saturday to fly home for the weekend. She leaves today to go back to Ka for work for at least a week. We talked about it. She admits she did wrong and says she will do anything to make this work. She told me she deleted the emails. She said they serve no purpose anymore. I told her if anything is to work, I need passwords to everything. She agreed. I told her I was disappointed she never brought this up to me in the consoling session, as it wasn't fair to me. She agreed. She told me that I was not giving her the attention she needed, and when someone at work gave her that attention, things happen. She admits it was wrong. I asked her why she would not come to me sooner, take me to her therapist, get consoling when there was an urge to cheat. She didn't know. I told her when we met, I've been cheated on twice in the past with women I've dated, and that to never do that to me is that hurts the worst. We don't fight much at all. Besides the lack of intimacy, I really have nothing bad to say about the marriage. She is very supportive. We both are paying down debt, have no kids yet, own a condo together, and planning for our futures together. My question is, what do I do? One friend from college has told me that I should kick her out, call a lawyer and be done with it. He asked if I want to live my life as a warden or corrections officer, always having to look over her shoulders to make sure she is being truthful. I've read trust can be rebuilt, and sometimes it is stronger than it was before an incident. I do love her, but I am just devastated. Whose responsibility is it to inform the spouse of her coworker about the affair? I told her she needs to do it. She doesn't see that as anything positive coming from that approach. We are seeing the couple's marriage counselor who we have been using this year on Monday. He will know everything that day, and we will go from there. She is spending $700 to fly back Saturday from San Fran and head back out Monday afternoon to resume work. I will keep you updated on findings. We are supposed to have a chat tonight on the phone. We did not talk last night. I left town like her, went to my father's in Michigan, and tomorrow I head south to a beach for 3 days. There is supposedly her email password and a written timeline at home on my counter for me. She left to take care of things I had requested before she flew out for work Sunday. However, when she left, I waited and left myself. So, by her talks with her sister, the timeline is on the counter. As for what to do with it, I don't know. Write it to the counselor on Monday. Scan it and keep it for future lawyer visit. Quick update. Sunday, I told my wife she had to leave. I need space. She told me she would leave, and she said she would take care of what I asked for. Gmail password written down, not inputted into her web browser, so all I see is darkness, a written timeline of the affair, and a no communication contract. Shortly after she left, around noon, I left for the airport and flew to see my father. She returned and supposedly left what I had asked for, then flew out to Ka at 4 p.m. Last night, I called a friend, life coach who taught a life book class we both took and attended in Chicago. She reached out to me on Facebook, knows about betrayal, and said I could call her. We talked for an hour. She basically said either way, I will have to rebuild my trust in people, either with my wife or with another woman eventually. She told me not to screen calls or text, but to reply with 1 or 2 word answers, and keep any phone calls from her short. This morning, I phoned the wife's sister. Her daughters, 8, 12, love me and I am close with her sister and brother-in-law. I know they are on her side of the family, but I just called to talk. We talked for an hour. She cried. She is shocked. She told her sister to get help. She feels awful. As I pointed out earlier, one of my requests for my wife was to reach out to a family member and to talk to them. She isn't accustomed to doing this. She did as I requested, Sunday, and talked for an hour, explained it all to her sister. I did not want to ask for details, or take sides, or feed her sister any info, so I didn't. Her sister told me the last time she talked to her, she got home with what I requested, and I was gone already. She was worried about me and about what will happen. Today, my wife called. We have an appointment Monday, 9 a.m., with the counselor. I told her to make it a 2-hour appointment, not one. She said she would let him know. She is paying $800 to fly back Saturday and leave Monday afternoon for Ka. She will be done in Ka second week of May. As for those who say travel is an issue here, I get 13 to 15 days off a month. I am always reachable, and if I need to call in sick to be home to take care of something, I do it. My wife told me if she could take this week off, she would, but she trains in hospitals how to use their phones, and she is the only one out there to do the job. She did tell me her therapist will get in touch with her soon about a phone call appointment, which she normally does not do, sometime by the end of the week. My wife couldn't talk long, was on a break, but said she will call tonight when I asked if there was anything else she needed to share or add some more pieces to things missing in this mess. That is what I know as of now. The affair was physical. The person was also brought over to our condo and stuff happened in our condo. She has repeated to me that nothing happened in the bedroom. I told her in a text so he wanted to sleep around but not take you to his house to do it. He must have respected his wife to some degree with that decision. She had a talk where her therapist today. I asked to three-way in. The therapist didn't think it was wise as this was the first time the therapist got to talk to her after I learned of the affair. The therapist is willing to meet with both of us after today though. Wife told me in text when I asked if she got something out of the call with therapist it was good to be able to share and process. I am looking forward to our time with the MC. She is also searching for another job. Monday will be the big day when we meet with the MC. I'm not expecting miracles. I will be looking up lawyers tomorrow when I am on the beach. She told me the guy's wife found an email from her to her husband and confronted her husband about it. The affair ended, a no-contact agreement was made, and there has been no contact since. So, the condo will be sold, either way, divorce or reconcile. That is no longer a safe haven for me to call home. As I sit here on the beach, I am now processing with pen and paper. I am making a list of questions to bring up to the MC. Also, a list of what haunts me and then I can analyze it to see if it's things I can live with or get over. The scenery here is refreshing, a sign that there are many fish in the sea. I am still married, and won't do anything I regret to ease the pain. 2 wrongs don't make right. Pi suggested I write a letter to the O and they will hand deliver it for me to her doorstep. I just need to figure out what to put in the letter right now. I'm in the process of contacting the other man as we speak. It's not a quick, easy, cheap process. The MC did not know about the affair. He does now as she emailed him, set the appointment up, and let him know prior to our visit today. Her therapist knew. 2 different people. Quick update. Last Monday we went to our couples counselor and it went well. Our next appointment is this Friday. We got a lot out of it and know it will be a new road in fixing this. I called the Pi off. The Pi told me she thought it was morally wrong having me deliver a letter to the guy's wife. She said she would make a special case to do it for me, but in the past has not gone well. Seen a woman try to kill herself, beat her kids or husband, destroy the house, etc. I couldn't live with that, and I think by delivering a letter it is more out of revenge. My STD test came back negative. We spent last weekend talking, enjoying each other's company, and spending a TV day in bed. She vows never to hurt me like this again and will do whatever it takes to prove that. Last week she surprised me on one of my airline overnights with a next day package. Had a little book in it we used to write in stories to the other person. This week she gave me 4 envelopes for each day of my trip to open. She also is doing more FaceTime video calls with me. We are having deeper conversations and she is outlining her day for me. She is looking for a new job and is willing to move, relocate out of our condo. We have slept together and she has told me this is the husband she married and missed. More physical, deeper conversation. Acknowledging her when I am with her. We still have a long road, but we both want to work on fixing this and becoming stronger. I want to thank all the help I got here. I'll still be on the boards if other things pop up in our recovery. The OMW intercepted an email from my wife to her husband and emailed my wife to stop contact. This was last November. Then shortly after the no contact letter was sent to my wife. I am open to revisiting pursuing the OMW down the road, but the Pi and counselor both did not advise that right now. My wife does have hard work to do. She repeatedly tells me she is very sorry she hurt me this bad and affected our marriage. From what I gathered, the OM is working on salvaging his marriage. There has been no contact. She went into the office once this past week, felt a lot of anxiety, and told me he was not there, as he tends to work remote. She is actively looking for a new place to work. My wife knows she messed up, how bad this hurts both of us, has admitted to that, and we are both working on it. To think I'm letting her off easy, I would disagree. There are still talks and feelings I have where I am deeply hurt. She listens and understands and promises it will get better in time, and she has to work extra hard to ensure that. Story 2. The Smile. Okay, here goes. Married nearly 27 years. I'm 56 years old, wife is 52. 2 children aged 24 and 20. Wife always talks about what a great marriage we have. Friends always tell her she is lucky to be married to me, and I felt the same about her. Overall, some issues. One is that my wife is more touchy than me. I express my love in different ways. She is an established realtor, and about a year or so ago, she had a new business partner. I had suspected something was amiss, but being a very trusting person, I let it go. This business partner and his wife, they have 3 younger kids, aged 11, 13, and 16, also got together with me and my wife periodically for socializing. Fast forward to last week of September. My wife leaves her computer on and all I see on the screen are emails to this other person. Well, it was sickening to say the least. Since late November, my wife and this guy have been in a toxic, addictive, emotional, physical love affair. Love notes at night, poems, songs, almost like 2 17-year-olds. In addition, when searching my wife's closet, I found additional stuff that made me want to throw up. My wife had to own up to everything. She was always against people having affairs inside of a marriage, and now she was one of them. She said she knows she is completely wrong, and that she is so sorry all the time. However, the amount of lying she did to me to be with him is staggering. I always thought my wife was an honest person with good values. Now I feel that she has betrayed the basic foundation of a marriage. We are seeing a MC. I told wife that no contact with the other person. He moved to a different office. I also emailed him and told him to stay away. Sadly, I found out that my wife betrayed me again because she wanted to reach closure with him. So, they met one more time. Her token line is that her plan is to recommit to the marriage. She would love to do so, but she has to get this man completely out of her head first, and she has not done this as of yet. My wife also understands that this person is not leaving his own marriage for now, for the kids. I do not recognize myself for the past 5 weeks. Shock, anger, resentment, jealousy, rage, everything you can imagine. One minute I threaten to throw her out or start divorcing her, the next minute I'm on a fact-finding mission and talking calmly to her. I feel I should make a decision once my emotions calm down a little, which they are beginning to do. I still cannot fathom the amount of deceit and lying after being together for so long. Some strange points. During the affair, my wife continued to be very sweet to me all the time. Also, my wife always, until D-Day, initiated conversations about retirement, buying a vacation home, and growing old together. My wife says that she still loves me, and that we should not be concerned about the other couple. She has apologized a million times. The other man would like to leave his wife but will likely not do so. I told my wife that I never want to be a backup plan, but she said I'm not. I don't 100% believe it. So, I guess realistically, my wife could tell me that she does not think of this person anymore, but that would be dishonest. After 5 weeks, I guess it would be hard to get this person out of your mind completely. So, I'm at the crossroads and I'm going to talk to my MC on Friday to get her take. I think I'm ready to boot her out if I have to, or see if this could be fixed. I'd like it to be a success story if it could be. Comments. The best way to get the other man out of your wayward wife head is by exposing the affair to the OMW, other man's wife. The OM will throw your wife under the bus in a heartbeat to save his own bottom, and when that is done, your WW will see the other man true colors. The other reason to expose the to OMW is now you have a second set of eyes on any chance they reconnect. The consequences of exposure will show you how much your WW really owns her mistake. Do not tell your wife, but contact the OMW and let her know that you support both marriage, but she needs to know about the A and her helping in preventing the A from starting back up. On a side note, the OMW may have suspected, and now the two of you can compare notes and see if there are any inconsistencies in their story. OP responds, "It's been more than 3 months since I posted here, so I wanted to give you an update. First of all, this site is amazing, and the feedback I got was very helpful. So, thank you. As suggested, I contacted the OMW right after this string of responses above. It was tough for me because she is a very sweet woman, and she was absolutely devastated by thankful. She had all the proof because I gave her copies of the love letters that went back and forth. Well, the OM basically immediately threw my wife under a bus to save himself. My wife seemed sure at the time that OM was going to run away with her. Once the OMW found out, that's what he was saying in his notes. Well, OMW immediately first threw him out, and he supposedly begged and pleaded to come back, which he did. The funny thing is that OM, to make himself look good and justify his affair, threw in a lot of BS about his own wife to my wife, all of which were not true. For instance, he would tell my wife doesn't want to work, but she does because she has to. Yes, the other wife is a school teacher, well regarded, supporting him basically for the last year, while he tried to sell real estate. In fact, his house and our house were his pads during the day while me and another wife went off to work. Also, while my wife was in the fog, OM told my wife that his wife is aware of the affair but she doesn't want to know details about it or who his was with. Of course, this was completely untrue by the devastation this caused. I have run into the wife a few times since D-Day, and she continued to thank me for telling her. By the way, OM is a player, told my wife. He only had one night stand before. But my wife was special, so that's why it was a full drawn-out affair. So much BS. My wife is out of the fog now. She seemed to punish herself to some degree because so many of her friends and business associates who know me for decades have come up to me privately and told me that my wife made the biggest mistake of her life and she loves me so much. Also, my wife has constantly cried to me and put herself down for doing this. That being said, I'm still trying to come to terms with this and my path is not clear yet. I am encouraged for now how my wife is putting 100% back into this. Well, maybe not 100%, but a good effort. And I'm not consumed by this all the time. However, it seems to me that while my wife was in this fog, I was the backup plan. Wife denies this, and I'm not sure that will ever sit well with me. We are an MC in communicating well and addressing issues. So, I do not know where I'm headed. But with my emotions now more in check, for the last month, I can make rational decisions. Although I thought I had a good marriage, if I stay married, I will want it to be better, and at some point, there will have to be trust again. I don't have that yet and who knows if I will. Except for the issue stated below, I'm not afraid of being alone. I'm a good guy, take really good care of myself, exercise, respectful of others, and like to have fun. So things would work out. So, stay tuned. I'll be back to see where the road is heading. One side note, I live in NJ, one of the worst states for equitable distribution of divorce assets. It's no fault, does not matter if she had 10 affairs. All assets are split 50-50. I've worked extremely hard in my career, started with nothing, put my way through college, grad school, post-grad school, and I am an executive for a Fortune 500 company. I've squirreled away everything I can for 30 years in retirement plans, stock options, etc. So there is a hefty sum. Okay, bad enough, but through NJ's permanent alimony laws, I would also have to pay her like $45,000 a year every year for her cheating on me, unless she remarries. That's the law. If my wife ever did run away with OM, it galls me that half of my marital assets would have probably gone to putting his 3 kids through college. I manned up and took care of my family, and people should not depend on betrayed spouses' assets to help them. The law sucks as others gets a free ride. So, what happens? Some spouses permanently sponge off of their exes, do not marry their affair partner in order to collect permanent alimony, but instead cohabitate or just date. There is a grassroots movement to get this changed, but who knows? Now how fair is that? 3 years later, OP responds to story number 1 while providing his own update. Even though we are in a pretty good place now, 3 years ago, my wife was in a 9 to 10 month affair with a coworker, just like you. Our house was used sometimes as a place to get together, just like you. And when I found out, I did not go immediately to the OMW, because according to my wife, the OMW already knew. This was just a way for my wife to further protect herself and to protect the other man from more damage. When the OMW officially found out from me, she almost went into shock. If your knowledge that the OMW knows is based strictly on what your wife tells you, then this could be a fallacy. The PI and counselor, in my opinion, are completely off base here. Sure, something can happen. That has nothing to do with you at all. It's all on the affair partners. One of the main reasons you confirm, and most importantly do not tell your wife of these plans, is that you now know there is a second set of eyes watching this. After your wife lied to you for 10 months, so you cannot be sure that you are getting the whole truth now. And a special story 3. I have been with my wife for 10 years, but tonight we have finally separated. It's been a rocky relationship. We had good days and bad days. Our main problem was so much arguing and disagreeing on things. I felt that due to this, I held back from being affectionate, which caused her to resent me. I think we've both made mistakes. I felt like I was always the one talking about how to make things better, but I felt like I could never get through to her. A few years back, we moved far away from our families to a lovely house, and I thought it was a new start. Neither of us had any proper friends, and we both seemed happy with that. My wife had to change jobs, and her new job led to socializing with her workmates. I didn't mind this particularly, but I found out that one was sending her really inappropriate text messages. They may have had some sort of affair, but I was never able to prove it. This happened about 1 month ago. Since then, things came to a head and she finally told me that she didn't have any faith in us working out and didn't want to try. She said she still loves me and feels awful. I tried my best to persuade her to see this as a wake-up call and to actually make steps to improve things, but to no avail. Tonight, I packed my bags and am now sitting writing this in a hotel. I need to start thinking about finding somewhere to rent temporarily until our money situation is sorted out and I have enough to think about buying somewhere. I'm 30 years old in a month's time and I'm not normally one to cry. However, today I admit I cried a lot. I feel so lost. Like I said, I have no friends and my family live quite far away. I just thought that my marriage would last forever. I have so many memories of our time together and I feel so sad that it's come to an end. Does anyone have any words of encouragement? The reason I left the house was because I wouldn't be able to buy her half out. There is a chance that she can still afford to live there, so it seemed to make sense for it to be me that goes. My wife has offered to get me my financial half of things quickly with the help of her family, so we wouldn't have to wait for the house to sell. I realize in hindsight that a life where it was just me and her, with no friends, was not a good idea. I had a romantic vision in my head that we were enough for each other, and I truthfully didn't really feel lonely for most of the time. I'm shy and self-conscious, so going out and making friends now seems so daunting. At the moment, I just want her back, and I want to solve all of the reasons why we were unhappy. The reasons behind everything seem so obvious now. However, my wife says that she thinks it's too late to save things. She has said she loves me but doesn't love me like that at the moment. I live in the UK. She says she will be reasonable and give me half of the house value, but it will mean going from a dream house to a small flat. It's just one of many things that has just been turned upside down. I know the person who was sending the messages is still in the picture, at least as a friend. The trouble is, I have no way of proving what, if anything, happened. Perhaps if I knew for certain I would feel a lot better about everything. I just wish I had found out what was going on properly. I just feel so lost right now. I've gone back to my parents' house and told them what's happened. I am going to stay here for a few days. I feel like I'm in deep shock. I had an interesting chat with my father last night, who unbeknown to me had been through a very similar situation at about the same age as well, before he met my mother. I feel a bit better now I'm around people than just being on my own. As for my wife, she is just saying that we didn't get along and not showing much interest in how I am really. I know from intercepted messages that the other man met with her yesterday morning and then drove her home from their work. I have suspicions that he may have stayed the night, as usually there is messages late at night and first thing in the morning from him. This time there's none. It's unusual to say the least. I've spent a long time questioning whether or not we were right for each other in some ways, but I just always thought we'd make the most of it and be together for the rest of our lives. What I've also come to realize is that it's not just the loss of the partner, it's the loss of my relationship with her family, it's the loss of our lovely house and area, it's the loss of so many things. Even if she does pay up, I'm going to live somewhere that's not a patch on where we live together. That really depresses me. At the moment, memories of our life together flooding into my brain every time I see something, hear something, or read something. I feel so sad about everything. I just wish I could see a happy future, but at the moment I just can't. Big update for you all. On Wednesday, she mentioned to me that she was considering taking in a lodger as she, genuinely, can't afford the bills. Thursday morning, I decided I wanted to go and see her face to face and talk things through. I drove down there only to find that the other man had moved in. His stuff was everywhere, all over the house. Made me feel ill. He wasn't there though. Her family also visited shortly afterwards and I told them everything. They were all shocked and couldn't believe it. She insists nothing is going on. She sounds genuine about it, but even if that is true, it is so disrespectful to me, seeing as it's half my house, not to even tell me or ask for my blessing, although I obviously wouldn't have given it. After talking everything through with her, it's clear that there's no future, as if there was any chance before. I still feel devastated that things have come to this. She says he is only there as she can't afford to pay the rent on her own, and he is also homeless, having separated from his wife. It's true that my wife can't afford to live there on her own, but she was very underhand about getting him in there. This is what I mean by convenient coincidences. I do feel like there's a future out there, but it just seems too scary at the moment. It's just not what I had expected to have to face. I am in the United Kingdom. Does anyone on here know what my position is in terms of evicting the lodger? I never gave any permission, obviously, as only my wife did. I very much doubt anything has been signed either. She insists they are not together. She tells me that the OM is going through separation too, leaving not just his wife, but 2 children, and needed somewhere to stay. She can't afford the bills. That bit is true, so she says it was for mutual benefit. At the moment, she says she is talking to her family, as she needs their help to raise the funds to buy me out. Her family have slightly turned against her after all of this. I'm chasing her up to get this bit sorted out. Also, I'm insisting on having the home valued. I spoke to the agent we bought through last year and he told me that there should be a substantial increase on its value, which if true, would be nice. However, it would mean that she would probably have to sell, which means more delay for me, in terms of getting my share. I've got pretty much all of my personal possessions, but obviously the house is full of more joint things, such as furniture, electrical bits, kitchen stuff, tools, etc. As for getting her back, I think it's too far gone now, even if she changed her mind. Another update. I arranged for the house to be valued on Saturday. The valuations were higher than expected, which means that buying each other out is now a lot harder. I told my wife that I would be moving back in yesterday, and that the other man needed to go. She refused to tell him, but I had his phone number, so I told him to. When I got back here, they had both moved. I had said to my wife that perhaps we could spend a few days, weeks together on our own here, just to talk everything through calmly and not do anything hasty, but she doesn't want to know. To be honest, it's horrible here. Although we haven't been here for ages, there are so many memories here. I'm finding it really hard to stay strong. She told me that she still wants to rent somewhere for 6 months rather than rush into selling the house. I feel like I want to reach some sort of conclusion about everything, but it just feels like it's going to drag on for years. I should just add about how lonely I'm feeling. When we moved down here, we moved away from our families. At the time, that felt fine as I had her, but now, on my own, it feels horrible. In the last couple of weeks, my family have been really helpful to me, and just being around them has made me feel less alone. I can still call and email, but it's not the same. If I moved back to my family and let my wife stay in the house, then she could potentially drag things out for years, which would mean I'd be stuck living with my parents, which isn't ideal either. New update. I started getting myself together and getting back into routine after I came back here to live. For a couple of weeks, this was going relatively well. Then last weekend, my wife said she was in a taxi and was coming home, also implying that she wanted me back. She ended up staying here with me for 1 week, and despite talking everything through, she's now left again. My brain was all over the place, plus she also changed her mind about wanting me back. It was a very confusing time, but she's now gone again. I have a female neighbor who's about 8 years older than me and has a couple of kids. Her relationship broke down earlier in the year and she had been cheated on too. She's been really nice, telling me all about what's happened to her and offering good advice to me. The trouble is, I've developed feelings for her. She's got such a nice, warm personality, and I feel like I wished I had been with her, or someone like her, all along. Last night I invited her round and we got on well. As she left, she squeezed my arm in a sort of goodbye way, which for some reason left me feeling quite funny. She's busy with her kids. I've been sending her texts and she always takes ages to reply. Also, it's always been me sending the first message, rather than her. I feel like she couldn't possibly like me in the same sort of way. I also worry that I'm being a pain, but she's too polite to tell me. Part of me feels like I should tell her how I feel, but the other side of me thinks I'd just be destroying any chance of a normal friendship with her. When my wife came home, she told me that she loved the other man, but only as a friend. She also said that they had discussed becoming an item but had decided not to. She also said that he has since gone back to his wife and children. She insists that nothing happened physical between them. Therefore, despite her telling me this isn't correct, it sounds like that for whatever reason, things between them didn't work out, and she came back here in the hope that we could reconcile. I don't like being a fallback option. I told both of our families the truth, so they all know. The only person I didn't tell is the other man's wife. I am really worried about coming across as needy. I think in my mind I have decided that I just want a better relationship than what I've had, and I feel like I need to go and find it. I'm not too good at giving things time. I'm not suddenly interested in her because I want to rebound. I feel like I really like her as a person and have done since I first met her. I just suspect that she wouldn't feel the same way anyway, so probably pointless worrying about it. We have been texting a bit, but it's always me texting her first and she always takes a long time to reply. I don't want her to feel hassled, and I think she would be too polite to say if she was. I live a long way from my family, so bar my neighbor, I'm all alone and I'm just finding it pretty hard to cope with. I've tried joining a couple of sports clubs, but I guess I just want someone close. I feel like my last relationship has been a waste of 10 years, and I suppose I don't want to waste any more. Half a year later, my situation now is this. I am still living in the house. It turns out that my wife can't get her family to help buy me out after all. The plan is to shortly put the house on the market and proceed with divorce. I should have enough to buy a smaller place on my own. My wife admitted to me just before Christmas that she slept with the man, although insists that this was after we broke up and that she was drunk. She says they are not together, yet I have reason to believe they may actually be living together now. She just continues to lie and lie about things. The weird thing is, I don't miss her. I barely think about her positively. I see things around the house and have sudden memories about good times we had, but I've realized just how bad the relationship was and how much better I feel for being out of it. I pushed myself into taking up a new sport, and through that, I now play it 3 times per week, and I have met quite a lot of people. One of these places also do other social events with people of my own age, such as nights out, trips to places, cinema, pub quizzes, etc. I now have about 15 people that I know pretty well, and I can also say that I've got friends for the first time in many years. It feels great to say that. In fact, I rarely spend an evening at home anymore. I got talking to a girl online who has become a really good friend, my best friend in fact. She has given me an outlet to talk about how I feel and has given me great advice. She has made me feel so much less lonely than I was at the start. I really can't thank her enough. I had a brief relationship with someone before Christmas, but it wasn't working out and I put an end to it. I am now single again, but not feeling too bad about it. I feel like my life is now full of opportunities and chances. I feel a positivity that I haven't really felt ever before. My comment: I wanted to provide a positive ending compared to story number 1 and 2. It will take time to heal, to work on yourself, and just take your time with your next relationship. It is never too late. And I got a longer one coming in the afternoon.